Have you ever just stopped and wondered where a really, truly new idea comes from? Not just a small tweak on something old, but something completely fresh. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the hidden blueprint your brain uses for creation. Okay, let's get right into it.
I know, it sounds almost like a kid's riddle, right? But this simple little question, it holds the key to a really deep cognitive mystery. How on earth do two totally separate concepts smash together in our minds to create something that's, well, both of them, but also something brand new? And here's the best part. This isn't some kind of rare gift that's only for a few geniuses out there. Nope, it's a fundamental process, a kind of mental superpower that every single one of us has. We just have to learn how to flip the switch. All right, so first up, the spark of an idea. To really get a handle on this superpower, we have to go right back to the very beginning. Where does that initial flash of insight actually, come from?
So here it is, the first big secret. Creativity isn't about pulling ideas out of thin air. It's not that lightning bolt from the cartoons. It's all about connection. The most powerful, world-changing breakthroughs happen when we link ideas that, on the surface, have absolutely nothing to do with each other.
Now, this whole act of connecting different worlds, it actually has an aim. And understanding what it is, that's the first step to really getting good at it. So, let's dig into the process. It's called cross-domain reasoning. I know, it sounds a little technical, but the idea behind it is incredibly simple. It's just the mental process of taking what you know from one area of your life, one domain, and applying it to a totally different one just to see what shakes out. Here's a great way to picture it. Imagine that everything you know, every skill you have, is its own little island, right? You've got your work island, your hobby island, maybe a parenting island, or a video games island. They're all just floating there, separately, in the ocean of your mind. And this is the whole game right here. Real creativity isn't about magically making new islands appear. It's about being a mental architect. It's the art of building bridges between the islands you already have. And the more unexpected that bridge is, the more amazing the creation on the other side. Okay, so if we're going to be building these conceptual bridges, what are our tools? Well, it turns out our brain comes with a pretty awesome creative toolkit right out of the box. There are basically three core tools we use to connect these separate worlds. We've got analogy making, generalization, and blending. Let's break down each one. First up is analogy making. Just think of this as your brain's built-in pattern matching software. It's how a biologist who's studying a virus might suddenly get an idea from thinking about how a computer virus spreads. The fields are totally different, biology and software, but the underlying pattern, the structure of how it spreads, is super similar. Now, I know this table looks a bit abstract, but stick with me, because this is literally how our minds are working behind the scenes. Let's use that virus example again. In domain A, which is computers, element X is a computer. And in domain B, biology, element Y is a cell. The relationship P is a computer virus infects a computer. Well, your brain spots that this structure is just like relationship Q. A biological virus infects a cell. Finding that shared logic, that's the spark. That's what builds the bridge. Next up in the toolkit is generalization. This is your brain's ability to just zoom out. So, you see a dog wag its tail when it's happy, then you notice a cat purrs when it's happy. You generalize from those specific examples to a bigger idea. Animals express happiness through certain behaviors. You're moving from looking at individual islands to creating a bigger map of the entire region. And finally, we get to the most dramatic tool of them all, theory blending. Now, this is where two domains don't just get linked up by a bridge, they actually collide and merge together with features from both combining to create one single totally new idea. So, let's go all the way back to our original mystery. We have two totally distinct inputs, right? Two separate islands of knowledge. Input 1, the concept of a house. It's got rooms, a roof, it stays in one place. And input 2, the concept of a boat. It floats, it moves on water, it has a hull. And then, bam! Through blending, your brain creates this amazing new hybrid, the houseboat. And it inherits features from both its parents, right? It has rooms like a house, but it floats and moves like a boat. A brand new concept is born from two old ones.
So you might be thinking, okay, this is cool for everyday things, but does this really apply to, true genius level stuff? Oh, absolutely. Let's take a look at one of the most rigorous and logical fields imaginable.
We always think of mathematics as just pure logic, kind of the opposite of being creative. But the thinking behind this whole explainer points out that math is actually the perfect playground for this kind of cross-domain reasoning, exactly because it's so abstract.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Mathematicians are constantly finding analogies between shapes in geometry and equations in algebra. They generalize from specific numbers, like 2 plus 2, to create these huge abstract formulas that work for everything. They even blend completely different mathematical systems together to invent new ones. It's the exact same creative toolkit, just playing in a different sandbox.
So what does this all mean for you and me? Well, that brings us to the most important part of all of this, your own personal blueprint for innovation.
Look, if you only take one single thing away from all this, please let it be this. Creativity is not some mysterious, magical force that you're either born with or you're not. It is a cognitive process. It is a skill. And just like any other skill, you can understand it, you can practice it, and you can get better at it.
And this is really what it all boils down to. These three tools that we've been talking about, analogy, generalization, and blending, they aren't just some abstract theories from a textbook. This is your personal blueprint. They are the tools sitting there in your mental workshop, just waiting for you to pick them up and start building something new. And so that really just leaves us with one final, crucial question. I want you to look at the islands of your own knowledge, your passions, your skills. What bridge has no one else thought to build yet? What two separate worlds are you going to connect?